Wanted a European Super League, we had that. Well, now we've got a transatlantic Super League, and it's just about to get underway. James Child just waiting while various mascots clear the playing area around the edges of the field before he gets this game underway. And it'll be the Castleford Tigers who'll get things going through the boot of their new recruit, Danny Richardson, and Richardson almost finds touch. That was well salvaged by the Wolfpack.
Inventive kick by Danny Richardson. Low and hard towards that sideline, and wonderful gymnastics there by Lutelli.
Ricky Lutelli doing ever so well to deny what would have been head and feet for the Castleford Tigers from the resulting scrum.
It's one of the things you get with Richardson, a variety of quality kicks, penalty goals, field kicks, and one restart there as Toronto attempt to go wide in their first set.
It's with Hakim Eloudi, the French international. And now Andrew Dixon wants a St Helens player like Danny Richardson on the opposite side. Wallace kicks deep, and it's fielded by Jordan Rankin, going into this game buzzing following the arrival of baby daughter on Friday. He and his partner Chloe celebrating that. Not much time for Jordan Rankin to celebrate. That might come possibly this evening.
He did
if the Castleford Tigers have got the win.
He did a terrific job last year, played 10 times at fullback for the Castleford Tigers. As we see Paul McShane, another player who his 2019 was relatively quiet by his high standards. They want to lead that team, make sure he's at the forefront, following the big fella Liam Watts will, I'm sure, be part of that process as well.
Watts with the run. He was the only Castleford member to make the dream team last year. The kick is out on the full. The in-goal area's a bit tighter at Emerald Headingley at the moment. Well, they are, full stop, because they've had to just squeeze the pitch a little bit to comply with health and safety requirements.
Danny Richardson, as Phil said, he has the full box of tricks when he's kicking that ball. He'll be disappointed with that effort. We've got on display here two teams that like to throw the ball around. There's a lot of creativity. Very much encouraged by the coaches Brian McDermott and Darryl Powell. Two teams that traditionally, over the last 2 or 3 years, of course, Toronto only 3 years old, they like to throw the ball around, they like to ask questions and score some really exciting tries.
Ackers plays that ball. Now there is Wilkin, and short pass finds Andrew Dixon, making his 42nd consecutive appearance, Andrew Dixon. Now Mullally, once of the Leeds club, and that ball finds Lutelli, and Ricky Lutelli is a danger, he is a threat in this Toronto side. The Castleford Tigers are going to have to keep an eye on the former Cronulla man. Comes the other way, McCrone and Wallace, and it's on to Maludi. Maludi, a nice kick for Kay. Can Kay get there first? He can, and the first try for Toronto in Super League goes to Liam Kay, a try machine in the championship. And he gets Toronto underway in Super League. Maludi with a delicate kick. McDermott already issuing instructions. But Liam Kay, over 150 career tries. And what a try that is to lay claim to. The first for Toronto in Super League.
Sensational try, wasn't it? Hakim Maludi, another player who expresses himself. Both of these sides play with a philosophy rather than a game plan. Move the ball, spread the ball, let the ball do the work. A brave, courageous decision by the French centre to just dab the ball 8-10 metres behind the line. And Liam Kay, well, he scored a boatload of tries in his career, but none more important and more significant than that today.
Toronto's record try scorer. Look at that, 65 in 63 appearances. And his first in Toronto colours in the Super League. He played Super League with Wakefield back in 2013, did Liam Kay. Then has spent the rest of his career in the Championship. Now he is back in Super League. Blake Wallace with the goal-kicking duties. No Gareth O'Brien. O'Brien not injured, we're told. So Wallace getting the full-back role and getting the goal-kicking role, and is missed with that one.
Well, It's taken the Wolfpack less than 4 minutes to get the first 4-point try of the Super League campaign. What they've demonstrated here is they've got risk takers. If you want to get into the playoff positions, then you need players with skill, and you need ones willing to take a risk. He's put the ball through, and he's demonstrated the skill to invite his colleague, the winger on the right-hand side, to go through and ground. A massive boost. You saw the sense of relief amongst the Toronto team.
Darryl Powell looking on, long way to go. Jordan Rankin just couldn't get there to deny Liam Kay that try. So Toronto at least have the satisfaction of getting first points on the board. Surrender! Big contingent of Castleford Tigers supporters behind the Wolfpack on the Western Terrace here at Emerald Headingley, this fantastic venue. That's the only part of the ground really that's still got to be developed. That's a high shot on Mellor. Richardson, I think the culprit.
Or was it Chase Blair, the man inside him, perhaps, Bill? I think in defence of Richardson.
It was a combination, wasn't it?
Yeah, probably right. It is Richardson, the taller one. I thought little and large.
He needs to bend his back, doesn't he, Richardson? But look at the ball movement. Toronto Wolfpack, even when they're close to their own line, using the ball, passing it to a teammate in a better position.
Here's Adam Sidlow in his 15th professional season, the big prop forward and one of the Toronto originals. Going back to their inception. The man who has galvanised them, David Argyle, not here today. He's back in Canada, but the family is represented. His sister Rebecca is at Headingley. She's a big fan. There's Litelli driving the Wolfpack towards those Castleford Tigers posts. Macrone's pass. Here is Maludi again, and Maludi, on his day, he can be very effective.
Very unpredictable.
Yeah, he can be erratic. Toronto will be hoping that they can harness an effective version of him. That looks high. James Child didn't see anything wrong with the challenge. Here is Wilkin. Again, they come to this side. Long ball, Maludi couldn't get that. And instead, it's snapped up by Eden. And Eden, has he got the pace? Dixon chasing. They won't catch him. They won't catch Greg Eden. And Eden's going to go the length of the field towards those Castleford Tigers supporters who celebrate. Toronto chanced their arm again. Maludi couldn't take the pass, which dipped in front of him beyond his grasp, and it fell into the hands of the man they didn't want to get hold of it, Greg Eden. He's another try-scoring machine. We saw Liam Kay's record was Shenton. Eden has 74 tries in 71 appearances now. And that one, under the sticks, Castleford surely will take the lead.
Well, there's a balance of risk and reward with every pass that's thrown in a rugby league game here. But maybe the risk a little too high. They want to play with width. Long pass from Wilkin. Long ball again then, but Maludi can't take it in. And the one thing you know when you play against the Castleford side with Greg Eden in it, with interceptions, kicks, anything, he has the pace to outrun anybody on the field. He makes that look relatively easy and bring the ball closer to the post to convert this in. We make it easy, convert it to 6 points. Left to right pass, which Maludi can't take in. They had the Tigers stretch for numbers. Eden was a little nervous and apprehensive as the ball approached, but he had enough pace there when he picked it up cleanly. And that's just killed all of the enthusiasm that Toronto have had. Started this match with so much possession, but stand behind the post now, waiting for this conversion.
Danny Richardson poised to register his first Super League points for his new club. He does that and puts them 6-4 ahead. To be fair to Hakim Maludi, the pass from Josh McCrone was just dipping and
a little bit in front of him. You can see the left to right pass for a rugby league player, for the majority of rugby league players, is the most difficult one. He would want, if he had his time again, I think he'd make more of an effort to catch that ball. Having watched the Toronto Wolfpack for a number of years, the involvement that players like John Wilkin have early on in the tackle count, I bet he's touched the ball 12 times already, John Wilkin, not been tackled with the ball. And that's something Castleford Tigers might be aware of. Stand off, hold back, and let's see if we can pick up some of those mistakes.
Here is Liam Watts for the Castleford Tigers, their Player of the Year in 2019. Now Milner. Just inside their own 40. Now Grant Millington, who was a bit of an injury doubt before this contest. Millington, now 33 years of age, in his 9th Super League season.
Good tackle. Chopped him in two and driven him backwards there. Good shot from Andrew Ackers.
And a kick from Jake Truman. And it's fielded by Blake Wallace.
And a good chase as well. Castleford Tigers with Danny Richardson, the number 7. Jake Truman, that left-footed short kicking game. It is how refreshing it is to see such young, great British halfbacks in the game. To my knowledge, the youngest halfback partnership, British one that is, since the great Rob Burrow and Danny Maguire.
Here is Hakim Maludi once again. Much travelled Maludi, but began playing his rugby league in around Carcassonne. That pass eventually reaches Tom Olberson, who does well to get it heading in the right direction. And then Mellor, little kick, but just having to hit and hope there, Mellor. And Eden, they've got to keep an eye on Greg Eden. You've got to keep an eye on Eden, because when he's in this sort of mood, he can cause chaos. On the halfway line with Michael Shenton now. The Tigers' long-serving captain. Watts. Rankin shoves aside the first challenge. Really feisty fullback.
They are starting to break tackles now, Castleford Tigers. A sloppy set in possession for Toronto, and the Tigers on the attack.
Blair stumbles as he took that pass, the former Melbourne Storm man. Millington now. Millington. That's the 5th tackle, bang in front of those posts. The ball is with Truman. Truman puts the brakes on, stepping. Truman trying to get the offload away. It ricochets. It's still alive, says the referee, and then it goes to ground. Then the referee brings them back, and that'll be the turnover.
It was an audacious offload, as we see George Griffin, who ended up in possession. Both back rowers agile, fit, fast. Unfortunately, can't keep hold of that ball. George Griffin.
Great example, though, of Truman again running at defenders, causing trouble. It was the last play, but he is very good on his feet, stronger than probably a lot of people anticipate. When he gets hit, he can ride a tackle. Trapped in position, didn't get the ball, and now the relief for the Toronto team here. Referee's awarded a penalty. Castleford offside, setting off too quickly. They are avoidable penalties.
So that's a welcome penalty, their second for the Wolfpack, beg your pardon. It takes them just up to the halfway line. Josh McCrone, their captain. Now here is Anthony Mullally on his 10th club. Leeds Rhinos was one of those previous clubs. Short pass finds Dixon. Good defence. Wallace is tackled, and that's 3 tackles gone. McCrone. Here is Wilkin. Wilkin works the run around. Mellor then back to Olberson, and Olberson goes to the heart of the Castleford Tigers defence. It's about 15 metres out now with John Wilkin. Wilkin, and they're not afraid to try it again. Maludi gets away from the first challenge. Strength from Hakim Maludi, but eventually it was Truman who brought him down. On the last now, little kick into the corner by McCrone, and they will get the ball back because Eden is collared.
What a quality kick. The previous 2 or 3 times that Toronto have got to the back end of the set, it's been a little bit erratic, but he knows exactly what he's doing. Josh McCrone, he's kicking it into the corner. He forces Greg Eden. We've seen a couple of nice touches from Greg Eden. You're right, Bill. If he's allowed to have a confident day, let's say it like that, if he's allowed to play on the front foot with confidence, there's nothing he can't do in this game.
Well, if you tuned in on Friday night, you'll see St Helens convert these sort of situations. Goal line dropouts when they put their opponents under pressure, repeated set into tries. Can the Wolfpack do it now to take the lead again?
Sidlow, look at that, on his knees, then back up again. He's left two Castleford Tigers players on the deck behind him.
Milner is one of them, and George Griffin is the other. There was an almighty collision, wasn't there? He's so important to Castleford Tigers, Adam Milner.
Oh dear,
there's the head clash.
Poor George Griffin was collateral damage there with Milner's head.
He's a big man, isn't he, Sidlow? But what he does is he ducks down, makes himself small, and when those two defenders are swinging off of him, they swing together, clash heads. George Griffin down on the floor. Adam Milner looks like he's won that one.
You'd have to imagine George Griffin's going to come off, isn't he? And let's hope he's okay at this stage. He's got a physio and a doctor there attending to him.
It's an unfortunate start to his Castleford Tigers career for George Griffin, having signed on a 2-year deal from the Salford club, playing in the colours his brother Josh played in at Castleford, but this could be the end of his involvement.
Well, they've already got two
afternoon.
players on the sideline, ready replacements, Daniel Smith and Nathan Massey, relatively light for light, but you're right, Bill, to be down on numbers, the rotation within a rugby league match, so tactical and important.
I think they're making sure he hasn't moved. They checked him out fully before he sat up, which is though he is going to be okay anyway. Even if it's just a walk-off, I feel that's a positive sign.
Matt Crowther, the physio, escorting George Griffin from the field.
Leaving.
Milner going as well.
2 off, 2 on for the Tigers.
So double assessing to be done by the team doctor for the Castleford Tigers. And Adam Sidlow, well, inadvertently has made his mark. So those two leave the field, and referee James Childs will resume play. And here is Mullally, once an Irish international, and that's another penalty for the Toronto side. Little bit of fertling going on there. The play the ball, that's going to be a penalty. They'll go for 2. No, they're going to keep the pressure on and unleash Sidlow again, and that's a high shot.
Penalty.
Don't forget we've had a goal line dropout, so this is now the 4th set, isn't it?
Yeah.
We've obviously been only early in the tackle count when those penalties have taken place, but still we've had a break.
Sidlow once more drives it in. 3 in the tackle for the Castleford Tigers. Now then, can Toronto capitalise? It's with Mellor. Good defence from Castleford there, because there were numbers all over the place for the Wolfpack. They were trying to run rings around them, and then McCrone can't take the pass, and it'll be head and feed to the Castleford Tigers, and frustration for Toronto because they had a glut of possession there, and they haven't done anything with it.
Just behind John Wilkin. I say it must be 15 or 20 involvements, 20 touches, taking it to the line, putting that pass out the back. He hasn't played the ball back. He hasn't played the ball at all. What we had 15 minutes. There was many times last year when we watched the Toronto Wolfpack, he'd go a full 80 minutes and not play the ball. That's the skill and the ability he's got. Such an important role there for creating space, manipulating defences out wide.
Here's the Castleford Tigers try scorer so far in this game, Greg Eden playing the ball. Eden's try converted by Danny Richardson, putting the Castleford Tigers ahead after Liam Kay had struck, and a penalty goes the Castleford Tigers' way. Their first of the game, greeted with ironic cheers by their supporters.
Well, everyone's too jumpy, too keen out. They're getting out the blocks before the ball has been played and cleared the ruck.
That'll take Castleford just inside Toronto territory. The Tigers, who made the playoffs last season but then fizzled out really at the hands of the Salford club, and the season really didn't live up to expectations, but they did have to cope with big number of injuries and a lot of chopping and changing, and looks as though they've started the season the same way. There's some notable names missing from this Castleford Tigers lineup. It's still a pretty good looking one. It's with Daniel Smith, and Smith for Truman, and Truman was looking for somebody to get on the end of that. And the Castleford Tigers are on a roll. Here's Danny Richardson, gets the pass away, and Millington, I think it is. Millington will get the try. Grant Millington, and that is a rarity. He doesn't get many of those. But the Tigers taking full advantage of the penalty they were awarded further down the field, getting on a good roll, good speed at the play of the ball. And Richardson's pass, and Millington just having the reach to stretch out.
Discipline so important in this game. You can't afford to do too much defending. And the Toronto Wolfpack penalised by James Child, offside. Now you watch the interplay between 6 and 7 in the build-up to this. You see Danny Richardson celebrating. It's a nice short pass. He gives his number 10 the front row, one-on-one with Adam Sidlow. Nice double pump. Has enough grip on that ball to just reach out, pull it away from his body and place it on the line. But Jake Truman and Danny Richardson all over that set of possession.
Richardson then involved early on here, which is what he wants to be, having been on the outer at St Helens last season as the side steamrolled their way to the league leadership and then to grand final success. He didn't really get a look in. Came to the Castleford Tigers, wants to reignite his career, and he'll get the chance. He's missed with that conversion though. Toronto 4, Tigers 10.
Well, if Castleford are going to win the Cup or succeed in Super League this year, it'll be because of the creativity that Barry's just referenced. They've got two players in Truman and Richardson, the scrum half and standoff, who are wanting to create opportunities for the teammates around them. They're not stronger or necessarily faster than any other team in Super League. They might just have the two most creative players in the centre of the field.
So having led 4-0, Toronto have conceded those 10 points.
That's great work from Millington on the back line. His half-back in front of him was backpedaling. He gave a loud, clear call. We could hear it from up here. And that's the reason Castleford are just over the 20-metre line now.
Massey plays the ball. Here is Liam Watts. Tigers' top tackler last year, made not the most yards, but was up among them. And of course, the mystery is why he seems to miss out on international honours. He made the dream team.
Went, of course, to the Nines over to Australia, so did manage to wear an international shirt. But I agree with you, Bill, and I think Tez talked about it in the studio. He deserved a place on the tour for me, but that might well be his motivation for 2020 to the benefit of Castleford Tigers.
Here's Toronto's try scorer, Liam Kay.
And after all of the build-up here, there's a test for Toronto now. 20 minutes into the game, behind on the scoreboard. What have they got now? There's all the enthusiasm and hype. Now the ball comes free, and Maludi keeps it alive.
Did well there, and Brad Singleton is on, back on familiar territory. The Cumbrian, once to the Leeds Rhinos, a bit like Danny Richardson. He just fell out of favour last season with the Leeds club, did Brad Singleton. So he's rejoined his former coach, Brian McDermott, looking for first-team football. He's got it. He's come off the bench. Here's Latelli playing the ball. Wilkin once more. Wilkin's pass finds Dixon. Dixon well tackled by Shenton and Truman. Now Maludi. Maludi, strength from the French international, who loses the ball in the tackle.
That last tackle, I'm pretty sure they chose to run that ball on the last tackle. Cass just over the halfway line now, in good field possession. A wild decision, and Hakim Maludi, well, although it ends up scruffy and bobbling on the floor, the minute he had that in his possession, I'm not sure what was going through his mind.
Daryl Alfort's playing the ball for the Castleford Tigers, another one of their new recruits, another Salford signing, or ex-Salford player rather. Now it's with Truman. Truman, young player of the year in 2018, gets the break and gets the pass. Oh, looking for Millington, but it's somehow Josh McCrone
What a
who
try
managed to
saver.
get in there and take the pass, which was destined for Millington and his second of the game.
Look, the most obvious try you were ever going to see is a 2v1 there. They've blown a chance and survived, and now Russell goes for it.
What a break! What a break! Maludi has got. Oh! And the pass to Kay was behind him.
Wrong side.
The referee, where will he bring him back to?
That's the adventure they like to play with, Toronto. From defending their own line, almost conceding a try, to then regather possession. It's a nice bump, isn't it, from Jake Truman, taking on a big man, but he just gets his arm to it, doesn't he? Gets his arm to it, prevents the front row, Grant Millington, from going in, Josh McCrone. Oh, what about this for an offload? And you can see Joe Mellor on the left. Although there was a player covering Daryl Olfitz, probably the better option to go to the left.
Safer option, because it's ultimately resulted in head and feet for the Castleford Tigers, and the ball with Jordan Rankin, still technically a lone player, on loan from the Huddersfield Giants. So Toronto, great opportunity for them to break out there, couldn't capitalise on it.
That's good.
Here is Millington again. Given that he was an injury doubt before the game, he's really shown up. Now Watts little pass finds Massey, and Massey looking for what would be a rarity, a try. He doesn't get many of those. Here is Watts once more. The ball is batted on, and it's with Eden who picks it up. Now there's broken field for Eden to run into. No, referee will bring him back.
I know that, but he runs behind in close proximity.
It's obstruction, is it? Not behind one of his teammates here.
Yeah.
I don't know how many games Toronto are going to win, but they're going to certainly win some neutral fans as supporters with their attitude in attack and defence, the risk-taking, the willingness to keep the ball alive at all times.
Going behind Shenton there.
Shenton, yeah.
So Toronto able to bring the ball away, having been under pressure once again in their own red zone.
Toronto made another change. Gadwin Springer on.
Another French international, Gadwin Springer. There he is, just taking that ball.
Powerful player.
Once to the Castleford Tigers, Springer. Little run from Ackers, but Ackers is closed down well by Chase Blair. Mellor, dart from him, and Blair again doing the tackling. Ackers gets the ball away to McCrone. McCrone hoists that one towards Greg Eden's wing, and Eden claims it. You're never that confident, are you?
No, but it looks like he's on 24, 25 minutes. Everything he's done has come off. And it looks like they're aiming the kicks towards him. They know how erratic he can be. But Toronto, 25 minutes. Sloppy is too strong a word, but I'm not sure when they get into the back end of the sets whether there's that much thought.
Truman again able to make progress. Brought down by Wilkin. McShane running. Gets the pass away to Richardson. Richardson brought down by Mellor. Here is Truman once more. Truman short pass for Chase Blair. That's the turnover.
No look pass, wasn't it, from Jake Truman? Here he is.
Well, they need a boost, don't they, Toronto? They've looked flat, they've looked lack of energy, they've not been out of their own half for a long period of time, and you suspect that they might have to introduce their ace card here to lift the team.
Yep, Sonny Bill Williams is on the sidelines. Brian McDermott, his coach, has just had a word with him, and here he comes. Back in rugby league, his first appearance in the Code since September 2014. In his NRL days, a glittering career brings him to Super League, to Headingley, and to this round one game between Toronto and the Castleford Tigers. What can Sonny Bill Williams bring to Super League, apart from a big buzz of excitement, which he's managed to do already?
Move, come on, Paul, come on.
He's coming.
Waiting for his touch.
John Wilkin, here he is. He's his first touch in rugby league.
And it's immediately
anticlimactic.
Well, I'm not sure who knocked that one on, whether it was Gadwin Springer.
Well, he receives that ball from John Wilkin. He has a support player in Gadwin Springer alongside him, who's in front of him. That's the reason he probably changes his mind there. Hits and spins and chase play. His eyes would have lit up.
A rueful grin on the face of Sonny Bill.
I'll get better, lads, I'll get better.
This, of course, a double-header here at Headingley, and Leeds Rhinos against Hull FC. The second game coming up at 4:30, again on Sky Sports Arena, and big expectations in that match as well, particularly for Hull FC and their supporters after a winter of big-name recruitment, in a lot of ways, because some formidable figures will be taking the field for Hull later on.
It is a menacing pack. I'm sure we'll talk about Hull and Leeds in due time, but the pack of forwards in black and white, ferocious.
Well, that's coming up after Toronto against the Castleford Tigers. Coming up towards the half-hour mark, and the Castleford Tigers threatening once again. Richardson's pass is snapped up by Singleton. Singleton, you feel, probably hasn't got the legs. And Ricky Latelli takes the pass. And again, the Castleford Tigers that close. The final ball, not the best.
Well, they're surviving out. They're just about with a 6-point deficit at present. Again, they go wide. Look on the turnover of possession as Maloney steps his way up almost over the 40-metre line. But the Toronto team need to get to the other end of the field and spend some time in Castleford's half, because the longer it goes on, the more certain you become that Castleford are due some points.
Wilkin, Sonny Bill's second touch, neat, taking and on to Wilkin, and here he is again, the former All Black. His last outing was in the World Cup, Rugby Union World Cup against England in Japan. Here he is at Headingley, lining up for Toronto in the Super League.
Great work from Singleton, refusing to go down.
The ball quickly on. It was a knock-on.
Yeah, we're just slightly behind Sonny Bill Williams, the referee, giving possession over to Castleford Tigers. They play that hot potato style of rugby league. Toronto Wolfpack trying to find space. Tyler Heppy on for Castleford Tigers now. Another firecracker of a player.
Adam Milner has passed his head injury assessment, we hear, but George Griffin has failed and will not be coming back. That's an unfortunate start to his Castleford Tigers career for Griffin. Danny Richardson. Here is Daryl Alford, a bit static, the Tigers. It's been a lively first half hour in this contest. Not the neatest a game, both coaches probably find plenty to find fault with, but Castleford leading 10-4 and looking for more here, and Richardson almost finding a way through. On the last now, the ball with the Rankin, whose kick is chased and it's dotted down, and it's Milner back on the field after a bang on the head. Well, he's given the Toronto Wolfpack a headache now with that try, because the ball ricocheted and Adam Milner gets his first try of the season. And Toronto again pay the price for a mistake in the middle of the field.
Well, they paid the price for not spending enough time at the other opponent's end of the field. They've not kicked the ball for about 10 or 15 minutes really here to get down near Castleford's line. But all of the kicks that Castleford are making are attacking ones, dangerous ones like the ones we see there. Nice foot skills through by Milner. Taps it through on the second one. Rankins is the first. And then off the left foot, through the goalpost. 4 more points for Castleford.
That's a difficult ball to deal with for the fullback Blake Wallace. There are boots, knees, hips, thighs, but he really needed to secure that ball. Adam Milner won't worry about that. Had enough about him to get near that ball, put it down. But you're right, the completion, the back end of sets, the deliberate nature. You've probably said both sides have been guilty, but Toronto, for me, a little bit worse than Castleford Tigers. The box standard, nuts and bolts, sets of 6, that you need to knock out one after another to grind your opponents down, for me, hasn't been there by either side in the opening 30 minutes.
Richardson bangs the conversion through, and it's Toronto 4, the Castleford Tigers 16 now.
That's going to be a really useful weapon for Castleford Tigers. Rankin, Truman, Richardson, all got lovely kicking game.
And Milner's celebration, presumably a reference to the fact that just a few seconds ago he was off the field having a head injury assessment. And he's come back, and his immediate involvement is to extend the Castleford Tigers' lead. Eden, Millington, their other two try scorers. Millington could have had two, but for Josh McCrone's intervention. Springer tangling with Millington and conceding the penalty.
Well, if you think about all the teams that have been promoted in Super League over the last 10 or 20 years, one of the things they've struggled with is the discipline. They've conceded too many penalties, and obviously the speed of the game. Those are two aspects at the moment that you say Castleford probably playing the ball a little bit quicker when they're in possession, and obviously the penalty count now starting to favour the Tigers.
Here's Michael Shenton. These two sides have met before, actually, but in pre-season they met in a testimonial for Michael Shenton. And the Wolfpack won 16-10 on that occasion. They've been penalised here.
Well, they're just handing possession and field position over. Arms in around the ball. The referee has no option other than to blow that penalty. The previous penalty, 3 Toronto's players, all up top, nobody getting round the legs, trying to take Millington to the ground.
So they're on the back foot again of the Wolfpack, and again Castleford come forward, and it's Tyler Heppy charging that ball in. It's not the biggest, but he does really punch above his weight.
Much like his dad.
Exactly.
Brad Heppy. Like a stick of dynamite.
Well, here they are in possession again, and Richardson looking for his first try in Castleford colours. He might have it. Truman.
Got no try.
It's no try,
up,
says James Child, whatever the outcome. But it's Chris Kendall, the video ref, who's going to have a look at this.
They've got some threats, haven't they? They've got Richardson over on the left side. They've got Truman over on the right. It's impossible to see whether that ball has been put down, but both 6 and 7 taking the line on. There was an accusation when Danny Richardson was at St Helens. He didn't take the line on enough. On that occasion, it's Jake Truman, 20 years of age, benefiting from the experience of last year, the Great Britain Tour, being around players like Johnny Lomax. Their hallmark is taking defenders on. I don't think you can award this try on anything we've seen so far.
Well, James Child didn't think so.
James Child didn't see anything when he saw it live. But I imagine the ball will go back 10 metres and it'll be Castleford's play the ball.
Yeah, Truman went on the Great Britain Tour but didn't get a look in. And has he extended the Castleford Tigers lead? It doesn't look like it. Chris Kendall's, the video ref, his decision is as expected. But again, Toronto's defence really being strained and stretched and tested. And here's Milner back into the middle with Tyler Heppy. He's 26 now, Tyler Heppy. He's been around for a while. He's just left the Toulouse club in the Championship. McShane's pass. It's on to Jordan Rankin, and here is Shenton, and that is a try. No doubt about that one. Slick hands from this Castleford Tigers side, doing what they do best. Snappy passes. And Michael Shenton gets the try that takes him to 150 in all games for the Castleford Tigers. Celebrating a testimonial a couple of weeks ago.
Well, Castleford are one of the best teams at deconstructing their opponent's defence by having players running in the right places at the right time. Again, you saw numerous players running as an option to take the pass, but everyone, the timing of the pass from Jordan Rankin to Shenton, he knew that even though he had a wingman outside him, he was close enough to the line with two hands on it. The pass is an option, but at that distance, he knows he's just got to retain possession, crash over and ground in one good place.
It's the line from Grant Millington. It just holds Josh McCrone up. When we get another look at it, we'll see he's on his heels, Josh McCrone. Everybody hesitates. And from that point on, simple draw pass, and that player, Michael Shenton, wonderful to see him back in top flight rugby league.
Richardson 2 from 3 with the boots. This one out wide, hits the post. But Toronto 4, the Castleford Tigers 20, half-time approaching. Michael Shenton, seasoned campaigner.
Well, there we go. You can just see it there. There's a space opens up from the line of Grant Millington, the unselfish front rower. And good skill. And you see Brian McDermott, Chris Plume, his assistant, thinking about what they're going to say, the feedback they're going to give to those players at half-time. They will need to change what they've thrown up in the first half, and it might well be focusing on how they finish sets. What do they do at the back end of the set of 6?
150 tries in 312 games for Michael Shenton for the Castleford Tigers, who have, after that wobble at the start when they conceded the early try to Liam Kay and the Wolfpack, they've dominated this second half. They could have had more points. They've had a try ruled out. They've had another one denied them by a Toronto Wolfpack intervention. So they really have got this game under their thumb at the moment. Richardson's gone for it.
Brilliant.
The touch finder. Great kick that was, into the corner.
With just over 3 minutes left on the clock, the number 7, Danny Richardson, steps forward, nudges the ball over the sideline. That's the area of the game that's been a little bit better in favour of Castleford Tigers. Jordan Rankin, Jake Truman and Danny Richardson on that occasion, asking questions at the back end of the set with quality kicks.
Next up for the Castleford Tigers, the Wigan Warriors at home. Friday night, big game in the Benderhose Jungle. Toronto travel to Salford for their next assignment. That's next Saturday. Here's Ricky Littell, who really haven't seen much of the Samoan International Centre, who is one of the threats that Toronto bring. Here's Maludi.
Go, just play it. 3.
They haven't got the biggest squad though, Toronto, only 23 players.
And that is the concern, and that's the discussion that is taking place now. They need more bodies. There's no doubt of the quality of players like Littell and, of course, the showstopper, Sonny Bill Williams, but they need numbers.
John!
Mellor's kick is comfortably dealt with by Jordan Rankin. And Rankin, who has been... It's a good deal for the Castleford Tigers, isn't it? Have him on board.
This is guy, I think, Daryl Alferts, who I think has been a great recruitment decision for the Castleford Tigers. I think he's going to have a massive season. A lot of what wingers have to do very often is just make meters at the starts of sets, and he does it better than most.
He's quick as well, Daryl Alferts. He's had to wait his while for his Super League chance. Now here's Milner.
They aren't finishing those tackles off. Milner, he's able to play that ball before Gadwin Spinger has got back in the defensive line.
Tyler Heppy again.
Move, come on.
Auckland-born Tyler Heppy, and then Richardson hoists that kick, and Blake Wallace challenging for it. The ball eventually comes down for the Wolfpack. Oh, and Matty Russell loses it, and it's a penalty.
Very unfortunate there, isn't he? The hooker, Andy Ackers, while he's returning the ball. Matty Russell, a potent try scorer, 27 tries in 21 games last year for Matty Russell. He gets the ball stripped out of his arm and it ends up in the breadbasket of his hooker.
If it's stripped though, then I'm not so sure it's an offside.
It's unfortunate.
It's very unfortunate. Yeah, but
Who's
pulled the ball forward? Well, the referee's determined.
Millington snatches at it.
Not according to the ref, though, has it?
Whose hand has guided that towards Matty Russell? Surely it's Millington's.
Millington, and there may well be a little involvement from Jordan Rankin as well. He'll take the 2 points on offer, or attempt to take the 2 points on offer, Tigers.
Millington and Rankin just sharing a little smile there. I think they might have got away with something.
The artful dodger.
Not just got away with something, that they're going to benefit to the tune of 2 points. It is what it is. It's a penalty, says James Child. It's 2 points, says Danny Richardson. Final action of the first half in this first game in the double-header at Emerald Headingley. Darryl Powell, the Castleford Tigers coach, be pretty satisfied, unlike his opposite number, Brian McDermott, who has plenty to think about after that first 40 minutes, which saw the new half-back combination for the Tigers, Jake Truman and Danny Richardson, gradually get to grips with this game and start to run the show. And having gone 4-0 down with that Liam Kay try after just 3 minutes for the Wolfpack in their first game in Super League, the Tigers have hit back.